Stop the mail. A public health shutdown order for the huge mail facility that sends letters all over the metro area. A look at crime during the last economic collapse could tell us what's coming this time. Hospitals are allowing people to visit terminally ill coronavirus patients with conditions. Colorado Senator makes a brave but brief stand. Getting flags to Fort Logan will be tricky this year. A plan to allow to-go alcohol and delivery to continue. Some state legislators say it's an emergency. I see some of you sipping in agreement. There is booze news that broke my heart today. But you're cheering me up again with more suggestions of what we should keep from our time at home. That's next. The letters delivered to your mailbox today went through a facility in Denver that handles mail for all of Colorado and Wyoming. And the Denver Department of Public Health has ordered that place shut down due to COVID-19. You heard it first from our Marshall Zellinger.
Your Xcel Energy bill, those handwritten birthday cards, that reminder to vote. All that mail goes through this Denver distribution center near 53rd and Quebec. 10 million pieces of mail a day for people in Colorado and Wyoming. And Denver Public Health has ordered it to shut down.
The challenge that we're facing right now is we don't have a great connection with local contacts for USPS, and so we're not able to collect all the information that we need. And so a situation like that, we would temporarily close the facility until we are able to get all the information and implement controls that we need to.
Danica Lee with Denver Public Health reports 5 employees have tested positive for COVID-19.
Unless we're working with the facility management to help us identify additional cases, we're not able to get a really good set of information about how many cases there are in that facility.
The closure order from Denver Public Health states minimal observations were made during the site visit conducted Wednesday due to the refusal of information and access to the facility. What the investigator did see, at least on the public side, were 3 employees with proper face coverings and plastic curtains separating each employee checkout station. The investigator just wasn't allowed behind the scenes.
In terms of how disease needs to be controlled in a facility, it doesn't matter if it's a federal facility or a local business. We need to get the same types of information and implement the same types of controls to keep employees and the public safe.
So why not send law enforcement or chain the doors, like we saw Denver do with an appliance store at the start of the pandemic?
Certainly this is a federal facility, and we recognize that there are limitations to local authority. We do have our city attorney's office involved in reviewing where our health authority ends and where that federal authority begins.
Where better to read the Postal Service statement than by my mailbox? In a statement, they said, "We strongly disagree with the Denver Public Health order, which was made without a visual verification, without advanced coordination with the team of postal employees working on these issues with Denver Public Health, and without the understanding of the Postal Service's substantial ongoing efforts to protect its employees and the public." I think the city would say in response, just let us in, and we would address what you just said in that statement.
You know, Marshall, this is so frustrating yet so predictable, because how many times have we covered Election Day stories where it's the Postal Service basically giving the middle finger to elections departments around the metro area? There seems to be this constant issue about just getting along and cooperating.
The pushback on this is that the Postal Service is following CDC guidelines, and if you were to shut down this facility, which covers 6.3 million people, you're dealing with stimulus checks, election ballots coming up shortly, and just everyday mail.
All right, Marshall Zellinger reporting from his mailbox. Thank you, sir. Number of Coloradans who are in the hospital being treated for COVID-19 has just about plateaued over the last week. 445 patients are currently hospitalized. It's been hovering close to that number for a while now. It dramatically dropped at the beginning of May, and that was really encouraging, but then some new cases are coming in. We are still seeing about the same number of daily discharges every day. 54 people discharged or transferred over the last 24 hours. Number of daily tests being processed in the state is increasing in a significant and encouraging way over the last couple of days. Today, the state processed more than 5,000 tests a day for the first time in almost 2 weeks. Tonight's next question comes from a viewer named Beth. With hospital capacity no longer stretched like it was, Beth wonders if COVID-19 patients still have to die without family at their side. She asked if people might sign waivers and be allowed in. Beth, that is a very thoughtful question. Each hospital in Colorado has their own policy on this. The Colorado Hospital Association tells us that most places do allow visitation for terminally ill coronavirus patients. Some hospitals require that the visitor verbally acknowledge the risk and wear PPE when they're in the room. Many hospitals also offer virtual visitation if that's something that families want. And in the rare cases where kids get seriously sick with COVID-19, hospitals also allow visits from parents. Law enforcement's trying to predict what kind of crime is coming our way based on what happened during the last recession. Those are the clues the Denver police are looking at. They told our Anusha Roy some of the same trends are already happening.
Denver police knew things would change with the havoc the pandemic unleashed on the economy, and they're trying to anticipate what could happen by looking to the past.
Studying the last economic downturn, geolocated where those hot spots are. We've drilled down to the specific types of crimes that we saw upticks in.
Some of the trends are starting to resurface.
We saw spikes in aggravated assault, which is something that we currently see. We saw spikes in auto theft, which is something that is currently impacting us. We're very concerned about robberies out there. We have not seen the uptick in that.
These are also the types of crimes that typically increase this time of year as it warms up. And it's not all bad either. The increase in business burglaries during the pandemic has dropped off. In 2 months, officers caught 56 suspects, many of them in the process of breaking in and stealing. And more people at the parks has a benefit beyond getting some fresh air.
More people that actually walk their dog or utilize that park, it actually reduces the criminal element.
Ultimately, Denver police are studying both data from the last recession and what's currently happening.
What are you doing about it?
They're also figuring out what strategies did and did not work and looking at any new community partnerships that need to be formed.
For example, if business burglaries are happening in evening hours, we need to make sure that our workforce is there on the day of week, the time of day, and in the hot spot.
So when it comes to domestic violence, resources like the ones on your screen right now are still available. And for a while there, the number of calls for help were going down and the police were getting worried that people weren't reaching out for help. Well, those calls have started to pick back up again, and Denver police are now noticing that they are responding to more violent situations than what they typically see. So today, the chief really wanted to emphasize that the police are there to help, that resources, the community resources, are still open to help as well. Kyle?
Anusha, curious if other police departments are doing similar things.
Yeah, we checked in with Lakewood, Aurora, and Boulder, and they said that they're not doing this similar kind of comparison. But the Boulder County Sheriff's Office says that over the last 2.5 months, in general, their crime rates have gone down. A couple of areas seen a little bit of a spike, like car thefts, but again, it's what they're expecting for this time of year.
All right. Anusha Roy, thank you very much. Hey, let me ask you a question. Is there something that you like about the way that life is different these days? All right, no need for everybody to shout to-go booze at the same time because, well, you're drowning out the 3 people who attempted to say family time is what they like. Okay, to-go alcohol people. You have some friends in high places. A bipartisan group in the state legislature is going to look to legalize takeout alcohol and alcohol delivery through at least the middle of 2022. And they say that it's an emergency. At least that's the trick that legislators play if they want a bill to take effect immediately. Here's how this works. They put something on it called a safety clause. So to-go alcohol is needed, quote, for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, or safety.
I think you can make the argument that it's going to keep people from contracting the virus by having things delivered. 2 years is the ideal timeline that in 2 years things should be relatively back to normal, and then we can have the conversation about pushing out the sunset or just repealing it altogether.
Colorado Restaurant Association told us today that nearly 9 out of 10 restaurants are getting revenue from takeout or delivery alcohol right now, and that for 1 in 5 restaurants, it is the majority of their revenue. Makes a lot of sense, though, considering just how much restaurants usually make on their alcohol sales.
They're heartbroken that this symbol of honor is not going to be here this year, and they want to do something.
The idea of no flags at Fort Logan on Memorial Day just doesn't seem right. Neither does fall in Denver without the Great American Beer Festival. Without that, why would I even want to leave my basement? That's next. Colorado Senator Cory Gardner took a brave stand against fellow Republicans for all of 24 hours. He threatened to single-handedly keep the Senate in session and block the holiday weekend recess unless they dealt with funding for protective equipment for first responders. Then the Senate just went on recess as scheduled today. Gardner had railed against leaving town without important work undone in a Twitter thread yesterday. Politico reported that Gardner was prepared to try and block the Senate recess. That did not happen. We reached out to Gardner's office to see what exactly did happen. They did not get back to us. American flags mark each grave at Fort Logan National Cemetery on Memorial Day each year. But this year is not like each year. Here's Nelson Garcia with that story.
Coming to Fort Logan National Cemetery can be stirring for people like Christine Jurgen, for people who want to honor veterans and their families.
Just the sheer magnitude of it, how many graves are here, and there's over 100,000. You look and it's, as far as the eye can see.
Straight, perfect lines of sacrifice.
I started a tradition about 7 years ago of bringing my children here every single year, and just to teach them. We come on Memorial Day every year. We don't have anybody in the cemetery.
But this Memorial Day will be different. For decades, schools and groups like the Boy Scouts placed American flags on each grave.
It's a symbol of all of the servicemen and women who have risked their lives and have lost their lives to fight for the freedoms that we're granted every single day.
This Memorial Day, COVID-19 had different plans, canceling annual organized efforts to place the flags.
And I think they've been used to seeing it every single year, and I feel like part of them might be a little upset and sad to see that they didn't have a flag this year.
So Jurgen decided to raise funds and recruit volunteers to change that.
We're just providing the flags beforehand for people who are already coming here.
Flags for people who want to come out on their own time and place flags where the Boy Scouts and other large groups cannot. By the looks of things, Jurgen's efforts are not alone.
I absolutely love it because, obviously with $2,100 that we've raised so far and, hopefully 2,100 flags, we're not going to be able to do the whole thing.
But maybe with others. Together they can.
I hope so. I really do.
Let all the flags fly again. For Next, I'm Nelson Garcia.
Jurgen runs a Facebook group for like-minded conservative women. She says that many of them are volunteering to deliver flags on their own to Fort Logan. There are details on how you can help with this effort in Nelson's story on 9news.com. You have new ideas to add to our list of what we should keep from our time at home. And they say change is good. Well, they don't know what the they're talking about. Change stinks when it's a change to America's biggest beer festival that brings life to Denver each fall. I may be a little emotional about this. Next. We've been building a list together, you and me, of the things that we have come to appreciate during our time at home. Things we should keep during whatever comes next. Let's add a few more of your ideas to our running list. Cameron suggests we add spending local. Lucia will keep taking turns making dinner with her husband. Gail loves the 6-foot spacing in the checkout line at the store. No one breathing down your neck. Keep washing our hands. Yes, Lindsay, please. Shared streets is what Amy wants to keep. Places where kids learn to bike and drivers yield to pedestrians. Ashley says keep to-go adult beverages. Pretty sure that was already on our list, but since Megan and Sarah and Carl and Lindsay all said it too, we'll put it on the list again. No mass shootings is what Jane asked us to keep. Amen. Bike rides along the river trail for Candace. Keep donating to food banks, Jamie asked. Kathy's keeping jigsaw puzzles. Becca says I should keep the moving wood stack. Becca, I don't know what you're talking about. Lynn asks that we keep the respect and thankfulness shown to sanitation workers and grocery store staff, who are sometimes invisible. A perfect note to end on. as we keep building our list of what to keep. The Great American Beer Festival is going online only for 2020. I mean, you can't put 60,000 beer drinkers inside the Colorado Convention Center, which is currently set up as a field hospital. First year since GABF's founding in Colorado in 1982 that beer drinkers won't be gathering in an ever-enlarging group to say cheers to the beer that helped make Colorado into the place that it is today. How am I feeling about the Great American Beer Festival not happening in person for the first time this year? Nice of you to ask. I'm good. I mean, it's not like I'm sitting home alone in my basement trying on my collection of GABF t-shirts chronologically from 1982 to last year. I mean, that would be sad. Pathetic almost. It's just a beer festival. A one-of-a-kind beer festival, right in our own backyard. The premier celebration of America's craft beer culture and all the people who make it possible. A chance to show off Colorado to tens of thousands of visitors. It's fine. It's just 1 year. The online GABF will be fun. Maybe they'll even make t-shirts. You are never too young to learn that the secret to looking your best is excellent lighting. Quentin's 12 and he gets it. He was setting up his at-home studio for his 6th grade continuation speech for El Dorado Elementary School in Highlands Ranch. His mom, Carly, says Quentin was channeling some big next energy for this project. He's got the light on the ladder and everything else. It's looking good. His mom says he tried all kinds of different spots in the house to see which one looked and sounded the best. See, now, Quentin, you're not old enough, but if you had a wife, she could have saved you all of that trouble and just told you that the only place you're allowed to do your videos is in the basement. A note came in on Twitter that the segment about the Great American Beer Festival made me want to shed tears into a Pilsner while I contemplated how much I hate the pandemic ruining my summer and now fall plans. A couple of you asked how I could possibly have a 1982 GABF t-shirt. And yes, to be fair, in 1982 I was -1 year old. I didn't say I attended all of these, I just have the t-shirts. Nicole Moyer says that's more wardrobe changes than Carrie Underwood at a CMA show. And Bob in Boulder says, did Kyle ever do the Mr. Rogers thing? If you don't know the backstory on this, I lost a bet with the next viewer online, and as a result, I'm supposed to do the Mr. Rogers song on the show. The folks who own the rights won't give us the rights, so now we have to come up with something else. But I will pay up on that bet. See you next time.